it nice and just, like, do what you have to do to get your kids back, but fighting with them is not going to get you anywhere.
Tonight, a mother is still trying to be reunited with her children 2 years after apprehension.
This 105-unit development will also make history as the largest affordable housing development in Yukon's history.
Housing the houseless in the Yukon, one nail at a time.
I just wanted to so bad, and I think I even harassed my mom, to teach me.
They're teaming up to bring Mohawk beadwork and fashion to the world. Good evening, I'm Savannah Kelly. Welcome to APTN National News. In the Northwest Territories, 98% of kids in care are Indigenous. Navigating the child welfare system can be daunting. One step forward, two steps back. Our reporter Charlotte Morit-Jacobs brings an update from a mother still fighting 2 years after her kids were originally apprehended. Here's that story.
This is the suit her son would have worn to church if Child and Family Services had agreed to a public outing for a Klitschko mother desperate to get her kids back. APTN cannot identify her due to privacy laws, but she wants to speak out. Her 3 children have been in care since January 2022, apprehended because parents struggled with addictions. But by the spring of 2023, they were on track to family reunification. In July, however, she says a caseworker launched an investigation after her youngest son fell in the home.
It's heartbreaking, we were so happy we're gonna have our kids home, our routines gonna come back, we're gonna stay with our children.
She has never been interviewed or charged by police for these allegations and is back to square one with only office visitations. There's nearly a dozen support letters from family and friends for them to regain custody of their kids.
And they are putting a lot of efforts in creating a safe environment for their children.
APTN first spoke with her in 2022 when her son was being abused in care, and it took a doctor advocating on their behalf for Child and Family Services to finally remove the son from the abuser. Fast forward, her requests still fall on deaf ears. The mother was concerned for her eldest daughter's well-being, living at home base, a Yellowknife group home. She asked CFS to place her in the care of an auntie. Before that could happen, the daughter spent the night in the hospital for alcohol poisoning.
She didn't want to approve it, that they're going to need criminal records check. And I said, my sister's a teacher, and my brother-in-law's an our officer. They both obviously have no criminal records to be in these positions.
Home base in Yellowknife serves anywhere from 50 to 60 kids a day in their youth dorms and emergency shelter. Up against funding and staffing challenges, the space provides programming and supervision from 8 p.m. until noon. The executive director of Home Base, Tammy Roberts, has been doing this work for decades with 28 years of experience as a foster parent, caring for over 250 kids.
Youth that utilize Home Base have been through a lot of the foster homes already, so they've exhausted that. But then also I don't feel that a home is right for everyone. Some of our youth are really strongly connected to family. Whether or not they can live with family or family can care for them is a different story. But to them, that would alienate family, and so a group setting works better for them.
Roberts says NWT foster parents desperately need more trauma-informed training before taking in youth who they have no bond with and who have been shuffled around within the system. This note, written by a doctor about her eldest daughter, demands Child and Family Services take the mother's request seriously, as the daughter has expressed a desire to go to treatment. But months have passed. Even her advocates encourage her to play by Child and Family Services rules.
Play it nice and just, do what you have to do to get your kids back, but fighting with them is not going to get you anywhere.
And that's what she'll do. Continue to fight.
In the waiting room, and I see people that are was in the same boat as me. The first time I sat in that waiting room, confused, then I would just I know what they're going through. And I said, this is what you need to do. Because they're not going to tell you. They're not going to tell you you need to get a lawyer. You need if you sign this plan of care, they're going to tell you they're going to apprehend your kids.
Indigenous people make up 57% of the NWT population, but represent over 98% of kids in care. The territorial government's latest CFS strategy plan sets out targets to meet this year, including increasing cultural training for child welfare workers, increasing financial compensation for foster parents, and sharing more information about child family services cases with Indigenous governments. Charlotte Mort-Jacobs, APTN National News, Yellowknife.
Comedy clubs in Ontario, Manitoba, and British Columbia have recently cancelled a show featuring a group that was selling T-shirts depicting serial killer Robert Pickton. The venue in New Westminster, British Columbia, initially said it had no plans to cancel the show slated for the end of March, saying it values and supports freedom of expression in comedy. But it changed its mind after widespread outrage over the T-shirt sales. Lorelei Williams is an advocate for murdered and missing Indigenous people.
Yes, I'm grateful that they're canceling it. It's a step. The words that they used weren't that great. You know, they said something about causing the community discomfort. It's like, no, you cause us physical harm, pain, and heartache.
The comedy group has since removed the T-shirt from its website. The group also claims the decision to cancel the March show was theirs over safety concerns for venue staff. New data in British Columbia shows the number of children living in poverty is on the rise. About 1 in 7 children living in BC is living in poverty. Overall, the child poverty rate is 14.3%. It jumps to 31% of kids living on reserve and more than 40% for children in single-parent households.
Things like childcare will come into that, because if you are a single parent and you don't have childcare, you can't work. If you don't have after-school care, you can't work a full-time job if you have to go pick your kid up at 3 o'clock.
The report calls on the province to index the BC family benefit to inflation, prioritize new childcare and social housing developments, raise social assistance rates, and increase the minimum wage to $20 an hour by 2026. The minister responsible for poverty reduction stopped short of committing to the recommendations, but says she will have more to say during this legislative session. A group of environmentalists were in Ottawa Wednesday to call for a complete ban on polyfluoroalkyl substances, or PFAs. PFAs are found in a number of products, including cosmetics, cleaning solutions, and food packaging materials. They've been linked to liver and kidney disease and cancer. Canada currently bans some, but not all PFAs. Lucy Gray is a public health researcher based out of Nunavik in Quebec. She says Inuit living in northern Canada are particularly vulnerable to them.
And research has proven that we have much higher levels than the southern Canadian population. And as mentioned, our unborn children are born with PFAS already in their bodies. We don't see any benefits from these, but we are carrying a huge risk.
The Yukon government is investing $5 million in the territory's largest affordable housing development to date. The Winter Crossing housing project in Whitehorse's Whistle Bend neighborhood will feature 105 subsidized units. The development will be owned and operated by Dedigai Development Corporation. The corporation is the economic arm of the Tonquishan Council, a First Nation based in Whitehorse. Yukon Housing Corporation will lease 75 of the units for a 20-year term. Officials say there will likely be options for the other 30 units to go to Ton citizens when construction is completed in 2026. Deputy Chief Christina Kane says the development will help alleviate the territory's housing crisis.
This 105-unit development will also make history as the largest affordable housing development in Yukon's history. What's most important is this will continue the trend to provide safe homes for young adults, families, and seniors who want and deserve a safe place to call home.
We want to hear what you think about this new housing development or any other stories you see here tonight. Here's how to continue the conversation. If you have a story you want to share, send us an email to news@aptn.ca. To read and watch our stories, go to aptnnews.ca. You can find us online on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. Today is Pink Shirt Day. We'll tell you how it's raising awareness about bullying after this short break. It's National Pink Shirt Day, and it's meant to raise awareness about bullying. APTN's Tina House joins us from Vancouver to discuss in more detail about how bullying affects Indigenous youth.
Thank you. It's National Pink Shirt Day here in Canada, and joining me today is Dr. Johanna Sam from UBC. Dr. Sam, can you tell me about what you do at UBC?
Yes. Dizan Gunzun, set Dr. Johanna Sam, set Sede, set Kotin Haya. Yes, so I'm an assistant professor at UBC in the Department of Educational and Counseling Psychology, Special Education.
Amazing. Now tell me about what you specialize in, because now today is Anti-Bullying Day. Can you tell me a little bit what your specialty and what you study?
Yeah, so a lot of my research is looking at cyberbullying among youth, especially racialized youth, Indigenous youth, and trying to look at their unique experiences online.
How serious is this issue of bullying and cyberbullying for Indigenous people, and especially the youth?
Yeah, so young people, and especially Indigenous people, they experience different things online. They're highly connected now, especially after the pandemic and being on devices. And so some of the things that they experience is attacks on their Indigenous identity. Are you Native enough? Are you Indigenous enough? Is some of the things that are unique experiences to them.
What can people do if they find themselves being bullied online or bullied in school?
So what Indigenous youth have shared with me, the things that they're already doing is getting offline, putting down their devices, talking with their elders, their aunties. Some of the healthy things they're doing online as well is actually finding Indigenous advocates or Indigenous-owned businesses, so finding positive influencers online as well.
This has become quite a serious issue in some cases when cyberbullying has been actually reported to the law and people have lost their lives and so forth. When we're talking about the bigger issue of cyberbullying, is the federal government and provincial government taking it serious enough, do you think?
I think they're starting to implement more legislation and looking at protecting our young people. Recently, I think as of this week, there was a new legislation for online hate for young people. So there is movement towards legislating and protecting our young people online.
Amazing. And what would you like to say about wearing this beautiful pink shirt today? And I know many others are wearing it in schools all across the country today.
Yeah, so I bought this shirt from the Urban Native Youth Association here in Vancouver to support some of their youth programming, and it was made by an Indigenous artist here in Vancouver.
Amazing. Dr. Sam, thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Back to you in studio.
The North has been seeing a range of climate changes in the last few years, from milder temperatures, changing sea levels, and the loss of ice. Our web reporter Danielle Parody and Iqaluit video journalist Trevor Wright had traveled to the Arctic last October. Danielle has been working hard on putting together a podcast on what she experienced while there. The Place That Thaws launched this past Monday on your favorite player. Before Danielle joins us, here's a clip from The Place That Thaws.
As someone who has lived in Resolute the majority of her life, she's also worried about the changing weather patterns.
What I noticed is that there's less snow, more wind. Yeah. There used to be so much mountains of snow, and now it's not so much anymore.
Thanks for joining us, Danielle. So that was a clip from your podcast, The Place That Thaws. How did the idea for the podcast come up?
Yeah, producer Mark Blackburn and I had wanted to do something on the North and climate change for a while, but we also wanted to focus on narrative. So a lot of climate discussion out there is very science focused and not very community focused. So we decided that it'd be really important to make it a story that even if you don't care that much about climate change, I think you should, but if you don't, you can still get something out of the podcast. You can hear about many changes that are going on in the North, be it cultural or climate or otherwise.
And yourself and our Iqaluit VJ Trevor Wright headed up to the Arctic last year. How was that experience for you?
It was a really amazing experience. Now, Trevor is in the Arctic all the time, but we moved up to the high Arctic, so even for him it was a bit of a trek. You're up above the tree line, so when we are in either Resolute or Grise Fjord, there's no trees around. It's just tundra as far as you can see, and water and ice. And we were also lucky enough to be able to see polar bears, so that was a really memorable experience.
And what did you learn from putting this podcast together?
I learned that there is so much to the north, and it's so much an integral part of the story of Canada. So people were moved into these communities, Resolute Bay and Grise Fjord, from Inukjuak in northern Quebec. And they were moved because Canada wanted to establish that it has sovereignty over the Arctic. So, generations now of people have actually made quite a significant sacrifice to help buttress the sovereignty in the Arctic. And now with climate change, you're seeing a lot of their environment change. You have coastal erosion. Hunting is good right now as animals move north to avoid warm waters, but you do see the potential for change, and you see the need to make sure that these communities are funded so that they can adapt.
And what do you want people to take away from this series?
I really like to look at it as a love letter to the north from me. I absolutely loved my time up there. I can't wait to go back. There's photos that we have up on our website that are just incredible. The people were amazing. They were warm, they were welcoming. You drop into this community of 120 to 170 people and you're just walking around town. That's pretty weird, but people really put up with us and gave us some great quotes, some great conversation, and some really great perspective.
Well, we'll have to leave it there, Danielle, but looking forward to hearing the rest of this series come out. The first episode was fantastic. I listened to it earlier this morning, and it's nice that you inject humor into the podcast as well as telling people's stories.
Thank you.
We need to step aside for one more short break. Still to come, we speak with a Mohawk designer whose beaded design recently made waves on the red carpet.
I was teetering about more couture kind of style, and I didn't know if I had that in me, but I think France was a turning point to be like, let's keep going.
Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. Grayson Wilson sent in a photo of the Northern Lights as seen near Genpeg, Manitoba. An absolute beauty of a photo for sure. Thanks for sharing that one, Grayson. If you have a photo you want to share, send those pictures to share@aptn.ca. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting over on the East Coast, -6 in Halifax, +7 in Charlottetown. Nain, rainy and 5 degrees there, Kuujjuaq -9. Val-d'Or, -14 there, Quebec City, -11. London, 0 degrees there, Sault Ste. Marie, -6. Kapuskasing, -14, mix of sun and cloud, Thunder Bay, -9. Churchill, sunny and -28 there, Norway House, snowy, -13. Gimli, -5 and snow, Barons River, -11 there. Regina, sunshine and 7 degrees, North Battleford, +3. Stony Rapids, flurries and -20, La Ronge, -14. Snowy in northern Alberta, -13 in Peace River, -12 in Grand Prairie. Red Deer, 0 degrees, Medicine Hat, mix of sun and cloud, 11 degrees there. Bella Coola, snowy and 3 degrees, Kamloops, +12. Fort Nelson, -16 in snow, Smithers, -3. Watson Lake, snowy and -18, Rock River, -29. Norman Wells, -23 there, Wrigley, -22. Tuktoyaktuk, mix of sun and cloud, -26, Colville Lake, -28. Baker Lake, -30 there, Cambridge Bay, -28. Arctic Bay, -30 there, and Clyde River, mix of sun and cloud, -28. A beaded creation by a Mohawk designer from Akwesasne is making waves on the runways. Tasha Thompson and her daughter Nalia are an up-and-coming designer team from Akwesasne. Here's Annette Francis with that story.
Tasha Thompson has been perfecting her art since she was a child.
I just wanted to so bad, and I think I even harassed my mom to teach me, and she showed me the basics, and then so that's how it started. And then I remember even trying to do a simple rosette, and I'd just get real mad and take it apart, but I kept going and going and going.
Her skill and dedication in her work shows. Just last week, Akwesasne actress Gawandeo Tarbell wore a fully beaded corset at the premiere of a live-action remake of Avatar, The Last Airbender. The response to the outfit on social media went viral. Thompson was surprised.
And I just thought that everybody could do what I'm doing, so I didn't think it was anything special. And then so now, with everything that's going on, with the event that just took place with the corsets, and I didn't think it would impact me or my community so much, so it's amazing.
Thompson completed the corset in a week and a half. She collaborated with Métis artist Evan Ducharme, who designed the skirt, and with Gawandeo.
We just kind of had we all formed a little friendship, and lack of sleep, and just kept going back and forth, and I never imagined it to all work out so beautifully.
It was no big surprise for Thompson's daughter, Nelia Barnes, who is her mother's sidekick.
I feel like she was more surprised, and I was more like, well, duh. I feel like I'm her confidence sometimes, but I was really excited when I heard she got the order, and I keep on hyping her up and telling her she could do it.
Nelia beads as well. Whenever her mom needs help, she's there to support her.
Well, in terms of beading, she'll like to do the florals and stuff, and then this is we call it the fill, where it's just the same color the whole time. That's what I like to do. And so she likes to do the flowers and everything. And I just will do the tedious stuff, I guess. And then sewing, I don't sew very well, but I'm trying to learn.
Their amazing work has been seen on red carpets elsewhere too, from local fashion shows in Akwesasne to runways in Long Island, New York, and Cannes, France.
I was really nervous about that too, because I was teetering about more couture kind of style, and I didn't know if I had that in me. But I think France was a turning point to be let's keep going.
Thompson says she's going to take time to rest and focus on where she wants to go from here. Nelia is looking forward to participating in more designs and fashion shows, possibly in Asia. Anna Francis, APTN National News, Akwesasne.
A dynamic mother-daughter duo there for sure. And that's all the time we have for your midweek news. For news anytime, head on over to our website at aptnnews.ca. You can also listen to the first episode of our latest podcast, The Place That Thaws, on our website or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Savannah Kelly. Marcy Miigwech, thank you for joining us. Have a great night.